Hello, everyone. Welcome to Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. This is episode 67, season 3. I'm your host, Pete Castanas. Today's date is October 12th, 2021. And today I will have a special episode that I'll be talking about, and it's off topic of my usual Van Chicagoland stuff. This program will be celebrating the 70th anniversary of the TV show I Love Lucy. And its anniversary falls on this Friday on October 15th. And I will talk about my memories of watching the show while growing up in Chicago. And it should be very interesting because I have a lot that I remembered. And right now I'm going to go into commercial. That is, the show is going into commercial, excuse me. And it's for Senka Coffee, and it features Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz as Lucy and Ricky Ricardo. And this commercial is from 1957. Enjoy.
Can't wait, Lucy. One instant Sanka coffee commercial coming up.
Now, just a minute. It's high time I talked about instant Sanka. These commercials need a woman's touch.
But we never use a woman.
Remember Joan of Arc? Remember Florence Nightingale? Remember Lady Godiva? Besides, my hands are much more photogenic.
Well, just don't goof, that's all.
Attention, all coffee lovers. New instant Sanka coffee gives you real coffee flavor. Hearty, really robust coffee flavor because it's 100% pure coffee. And speaking of percentages, instant Sanka can't upset your nerves, can't disturb your sleep, because it's 97% caffeine-free. Yes, this is the hearty coffee you can drink as strong as you like.
Lucy, you still got 15 seconds left.
I know it. I planned it that way.
Oh.
Now they can take a good long look at this instant Sanka label. It's called product identification. See?
Oh, I see.
Okay, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial. They did excuse me. That was one of the commercials that Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz performed on the show. Their most famous one was Philip Morris cigarettes, and that was the show's sponsor. And you can find those on YouTube and also on the I Love Lucy DVDs if you have them. There was a very popular brand, and an interesting fact of trivia that Lucille Ball didn't like that brand of cigarettes. Not Philip Morris. She liked Chesterfield. So she did what what they told her to do. And she smoked all her life. And so did Desi Arnaz. So back then in the 50s, cigarettes were a big commodity, and it was for advertisers. So these days, it's a no-no. So it's not very encouraging. Okay. Right now, I'm going to talk about my memories of watching the show. Like I said before, the show started on October 15th, 1951. And it ended at May 6, 1957. So it ran for 6 seasons on CBS, on WBBM TV Channel 2. Before that, it was WBKB and I think Channel 4. Then there was a switch around in 1953. So it was one of the first sitcoms that was very popular. It aired on Monday nights, and interesting facts about that, it had the 3 cameras. That was one of the first shows. It wasn't the first sitcom on the air, but like I said before, it was the most popular. Also, a little trivia about the show, that Desi Arnaz invented the rerun. Back then in the golden age of television, when a show aired, it never was repeated, and it was on Kinescope. That's how you pronounce it. That's where you take a camera and they filmed it in front of a television or a screen. So Desi Arnaz suggested to CBS, well, why don't we can't do the show all year round. Why don't they just show our previous episodes? And they liked the idea. So he was responsible for that. And reruns have aired for many years, not just on that show, but others. So big thanks to him. Okay, right now I will talk about my first time watching I Love Lucy. And my earliest memory was I was about 3 or 4, and I was watching television in the living room. I think no, yeah, it was in the dining room or something like that. No, the living room didn't have a TV. I lived in South Shore, and it was on Channel 2 at 9 o'clock in the morning. It was the reruns, and then when I first saw it, oh, I was hooked. And it's one of my favorite TV shows of all time. And so I was hooked on that, and then the other one show I love was Bozo Circus, and I talked about that show on my previous podcast episodes. But I Love Lucy is my all-time favorite. I love the character. I love the actress. You know, I can't stop thinking about her. Just you could say I'm obsessed with her. And then let's see. When the show ended in 1957, then they started the Lucy Dizzy Comedy Hour, and it was 13-hour-long episodes. And it featured the characters Lucy, Ricky, Fred, and Ethel. Fred and Ethel were played by Vivian Vance and William Frawley. And they also had Little Ricky. He was played not by Desi Arnaz Jr., but Keith Thibodeau. And the show ended in 1960 because Lucy and Desi were fighting all the time, and they were headed for divorce. And they did get divorced, and it was messy. And that ended the show. And then Lucille Ball didn't have a regular show for about 2 seasons until she started The Lucy Show in 1962. And that ran for 6 seasons until 1968. And then she quit that. And then she went to Here's Lucy for another 6 seasons that featured her real children, Lucy Arnaz and Desi Arnaz Jr. Anyway, get back to I Love Lucy. I'll tell you what the plot is all about. It's about Desi Arnaz played Ricky Ricardo. He was a band performer at the Tropicana. And Lucy was just an American housewife who wanted to be in show business. But he said, no, I want a wife to stay home. I'm trying to do that today. But she always tries to find ways of getting into show business. And she always had schemes and things up her sleeve. And she always had Ethel Mertz to help her out. And they had some comedic situations. You know, sometimes Fred Mertz got involved with that. And that was basically the plot of the show. And then as the years went on, they started a new plot that Ricky got scheduled to do a screen test for a movie in Hollywood, and they all went to Hollywood, and that was fun episodes. They were fun. And then the other time they went to Europe, and then excuse me, and then they moved out of Manhattan at 620 68th Street, which is their apartment. That was their address, but there's no such thing because that's the East River. And then they moved to Connecticut, and that was the last season. A lot of people didn't like that last season. I loved it. It was fun. They had some funny episodes. Anyway, I excuse me. I did a poll about what is your favorite episode, and it's going to be published on Spotify. And I'm trying to remember which ones I published. So my favorite, the favorite episodes was that Lucy does a TV commercial for Vita Vigemin, which she did the commercial, and then she became drunk on the product. Next one is Lucy is instant tea. I can't pronounce that word, but she's pregnant, and that's a beautiful episode. The other one is Lucy's Italian Movie, where she's stomping grapes. Oh, that one is funny. That was funny. And I can't think of the other ones. So there are some great classic ones. Actually, all the TV episodes are classics. I don't think there was a bad episode ever. I don't think so. So let's see. And then getting back to my memories of watching the show. And then when I got older, I used to watch the reruns whenever I can. And then it went into syndication Channel 9, WGN, in 1968. It was showed there at night. I never saw that. And then it aired for Channel 9 for many years, and then believe it or not, it moved to not Channel 32 and WFLD, but to WSNS, and that was before the Spanish station. So it aired at 6 o'clock in the late 70s. So I caught that. Right, I found a clip on YouTube that has a promo of I Love Lucy being aired on WSNS Channel 44, and I'm going to play that right now, and you can hear it. And so here it is.
Be sure to see Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz as they star in I Love Lucy each weeknight at 6 on WSNS Channel 44, Chicago.
Okay, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that that bumper promo from Channel 44. Thank you, Rick Klein from Fuzzy TV Memories, for providing that. He's a very nice man. If you have any VHS tapes from, I think, the late 70s or earlier, or the 80s, just send them to Fuzzy TV Memories. I forgot the email address. Just forgive me. Anyway, you can find him on YouTube. He has a lot of wonderful clips. Anyway, back to the show. An interesting thing about it, when Lucille Ball died in 1989, a year later, they found the pilot of the show. And that was filmed in before the show premiered. And it only featured Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. The Mertzes were not in there, and Lucy was pregnant at the time with Lucy Arnaz. So, and nobody knew that the pilot existed. And I read somewhere it was under a bed of the guy who played Petito, the clown in the show. It was his widow, and I think they gave it to CBS Lucy Arnaz. And it aired in 1990, and it was the first time I saw it, and it was pretty good, but it was the pilot, it was the beginning, and it was the plot where they did this before, that Lucy wanted to be on the show, and she pretended to be a clown, and she was the professor. So. And then, something interesting. Before they started the show, CBS did not want Desi Arnaz because they don't believe that Lucille Ball was married to a Cuban, and they were biased at the time. So they performed in vaudeville. They did a vaudeville act before the show started, and just to convince CBS to give them a show, and it worked. Because Lucille Ball had a radio show before called My Favorite Husband, and Desi Arnaz did not play her husband. It was Richard Denning. And Lucy played, not played, she had the radio show for a long time, and it was similar to I Love Lucy, kind of like that. And so when they did the vaudeville act, CBS said yes, and then they relented. And they had featured her husband. Yeah, they accepted him, and he, Desi Arnaz turned out fine. He seemed like a guy who didn't understand English, or he did understand, but his English was wonderful. It was fractured and broken. He used to say thin or instead of thing. My favorite thing is coconuts. He meant coconuts. Or when he said motion pictures, he said mushing pictures. The only person who would make fun of her English was Lucy, because she would not allow anyone else to do that, because she can get away with it because she was married to him. Another interesting trivia was that for the roles of Ethel and Fred Mertz, they wanted Bea Benaderet, who played a lot of people remember her from the Burns and Allen Show and Petticoat Junction, and also for Fred Mertz they wanted Gail Gordon, who played Mr. Mooney on the Lucy Show. But as it turns out, Bea Benaderet got the job at Burns and Allen, and I don't think Gail Gordon was right for that part for Fred Mertz because I don't know, it didn't work. But thank goodness that didn't happen. And so anyway, and then so they found they cast William. William Frawley. He was known to be a drinker. So if he got drunk more than once on the show, he would be fired and I don't know if he'll be replaced, but luckily he did. He did his job. He came into the set, did his job, and then he just disappeared. Because I heard he was a huge baseball fan and a huge boxing fan, And that's very interesting. And as for Vivian Vance, she was performing at a play in San Diego, and someone from the show with Desi Arnaz went there and saw her and asked her to be on the show. And she said yes, but Lucille Ball, when she first met her, she's like, "Oh, you're not right for this part." And Vivian Vance didn't like her at first because she called her a bitch. So, but eventually they became good friends, and then Lucille Ball respected her, so they got along fine. It was rocky at first, but when Vivian Vance died in 1979, Lucille Ball was just devastated, because she was a good friend of hers. So that's interesting, like that. Anyway, so the famous episodes I would talk about before, like the first one that Lucy and Ethel want to go to a nightclub, but that was not the first episode filmed. The other one was Lucy thinks that Ricky was going to murder her. And you could tell by the first episode that would look a little, not cheap looking, but not great. But it was funny. It was very funny in that. And so there were other classic episodes, like, for example, there was Superman appeared, and then Lucy dressed up as Superman, which was funny. Like that. So let's see. Then, as I grew up, I watched the reruns more and more. Then it aired on Channel 32 in probably the 80s, and then I don't know if it aired on Channel 50 on WPWR, but then it was on MeTV, which is now, but I've heard it's not on there anymore. So it's on cable. So Lucy is running continuously ever since it first aired all over the world. You would catch an episode, you would sit down and watch. And that's very fun. It's nice. It's nice about that. I was hoping they'd do something special for her 70th anniversary, but I haven't heard anything. And I Love Lucy is on DVD. You can buy them at the stores. The first 2 seasons is on Blu-ray, and I bought those, and they're wonderful, and they look crisp and pristine and gorgeous. Had wonderful extras on it, like the original commercials or the original way it was aired with the Philip Morris sponsor. But all through the years for the syndicated edition, they had the logo with the heart, the satin heart with I Love Lucy, and then it would handwrite all the the actor's name. So that's been on syndication for years, and still is. And here's something interesting. There were 180 episodes, but there was one episode that was not in syndication, and that was the Christmas episode. So I'm going to look up for that. And usually that episode was, it was from they had new footage, and they also had like flashbacks from famous episodes. So that was not aired on syndication for some reason because it was a Christmas episode. So believe it or not, they started airing that on CBS in 1990, I think. And and then they colorized it. And it was the first time, and when I first saw it for the first time, it looked nice. And then let's see, I'm trying to remember what the episode is. Oh yeah, they were celebrating Christmas, and little Ricky was waiting for Santa Claus. But Ricky and Lucy told him to go to bed. And then once he went to bed, Fred and Ethel came in with a Christmas tree, and they started decorating. But Lucy told Fred that the tree is, the branches. Some of the branches were sticking out, so he asked him to trim it. So when they were reminiscing the past episodes, Fred got carried away and he trimmed it into nothing. So it was just a big, like a big branch. All the branches were falling. So Ethel demanded him to go buy another tree, and he did. And then they started decorating it, and then the tree looked beautiful. And then at the end of the show, everyone dressed up like Santa Claus to surprise little Ricky with presents. And then there were all four of them dressed like Santa Claus. But there was a fifth Santa Claus, and then he was really the real Santa Claus, and he disappeared in front of their eyes. And then they said Merry Christmas. But according to some sources, Lucille Ball did not like that episode at all. She said it was too weird. Very eerie. She did not like it at all. And they started airing that after she passed away, but it's been shown on CBS every year so far. I don't know if they will this year. So there was an episode that most people didn't remember or never watched. So that's it's on DVD as well. So all of them, all the episodes are. Okay. So, the show will live on, and it's one of my, like I said before, it's one of my favorites. I never get tired of it. I have the DVDs. I have books on the show, especially her life especially Lucille Ball's life, when she grew up in Jamestown, New York, came to New York, then she moved to Hollywood. She did a lot of movies. And then she did one movie called Too Many Girls that featured her husband. And that's where she met him, because he did the play in New York. And they got married in 1940. And then I heard I think they got divorced 9 years later, but then they remarried, and then they stayed married until 1960. And after that, became friends until the end. So, and also one of the famous episodes was when Lucy was going to the hospital. And little Ricky was born. And that was the same day that Desi Arnaz Jr. was born. She had a cesarean at the hospital. And it happened in January 19th, I believe, 1953. And I have the TV guide, the very first TV guide that featured Desi Arnaz Jr. as little Ricky. I bought that last year. It's a Chicago edition. So it's a treasure for me. Oh, I love that. I always wanted it all my life, and I finally got it on eBay. Thank goodness. Okay, so like I said, it's a wonderful show, and let's see what else. Well, I guess that's it for about her. Right now, I will be ending the show about I Love Lucy. I'm sorry I'm rambling so much because I'm so overwhelmed by her. Yeah. And the show, that is. I won't be doing a podcast Saturday because I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be gone all day. Maybe Sunday. We'll see about that. And I'm glad you enjoyed the show. And right now, so I'm going to say goodbye for now. And this is Pete Costanis for Vanished Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. This is episode 67, season 3. And so long, everybody. And right now, I'm going to have Ray Rayner saying goodbye to everybody. So he's going to say bye-bye for now. Take care, everyone. So long.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.